Welcome back to the COS Business Podcast, the number one podcast in Colorado Springs.
And today, our highlighted sponsor is Epic Eyewear.
Epic Eyewear, local veteran-owned eyewear company, huh?
Yeah.
Sunglasses?
They're pretty awesome. They sponsor us. They help make the show possible.
Yeah, COS BP15 for 15% off, just so everybody knows as well.
That, yeah.
Yes. And today we have a very, very special guest, a friend before he even became who he is today, but Mayor Yemi, Mayor of Colorado Springs, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me. It's been like a couple of years now, at least 2 years since I've been here. And you guys are growing too, because now you have sponsors.
Yeah.
Epic Eyewear. My God, I'm on board. Let's go.
For sure. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we have a handful of sponsors actually. So it makes it for us to upgrade, improve, and pay people to do things. So yeah.
And it sounds like some of your sponsors are local businesses.
All local business.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, kudos to you guys.
Yeah, hey, man. Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, when we had you on the show originally, I was actually behind the camera, and it was just one-on-one with Andrew. And I think it was a month before, or a month and change before you even announced running, right?
Right.
So,
and I think shortly after that, you probably came in as a co-host, didn't you?
About a year, actually.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So things have definitely changed, and we were big supporters when he came on, and that was such an awesome episode. So we're so happy to have you back.
Thank you.
First and foremost.
It really is an honor to be back. Thank you for having me back.
I love it, brother.
Yeah.
I love it. Well, our first question to you is, how is as best you can answer this, because like I said, there's probably been so much that's gone on with your first year
Absolutely.
in office. How's it gone for you?
I can't believe we're about a year now. June 6th, this upcoming June 6th would be a year from Inauguration Day. This past May 16th was a year from Election Day, and my life changed forever. I wasn't ready for it. It's like we've been working hard to get to election, and then after election, it was a whole new set of craziness and madness and a whirlwind. And here's what I'd like to say about this. By far the hardest job I've ever done.
Really?
And by far the most rewarding job.
That's how it goes.
I've ever
Typically,
had.
it's crazy.
Yeah. So wouldn't trade it for anything, to wake up every morning, to go to bed every night with the burden of advancing city flourishing. It's super cool. And I do want to make one last note to respond to your question. I know you guys are very focused on telling stories of around great local businesses, COS businesses, and business owners. And it's important for our listeners and viewers to know that I actually credit my own small business journey as preparing me for the office of mayor.
Mm-hmm.
In my small business journey, I learned about grit, hard work, creativity, doing a lot with very little, financial management, also what not to do. And I tell you, the local business journey and that spirit of entrepreneurship and stepping out in faith and taking risk and trying to create a product, customer service, all those things have prepared me for the leader and the mayor that I am today.
Yes, most definitely. And it's been such an incredible journey to watch for both of us, for you, because you came from that entrepreneurial background like Andrew and myself. So It's cool to see the small business owner win in a big way.
Oh, thank you.
For the highest office in Colorado Springs. It was so cool to see. But how, you've kind of already talked a little bit about that, but how did it really prep you? You said grit and creativity and all these different things, almost first year fully in office. Talk a little bit more about that, because I'm sure there's been some challenges. And when you walk into the place of office, I'm sure there's already things a bunch of action items already listed there, I'm sure. And how does that process go specifically?
Yeah, I credit my predecessor, John Suthers, for just kind of not just a peaceful transition of government, but a smooth transition of government. I actually, between my first election, April 4th of 2023, and then the runoff election, May 16th of 2023, I actually started meeting with John Suthers. I had an inclination that, okay, I most likely will become mayor of this great city. And we should talk about that too, because I don't know if you guys, when I say great city, we just got ranked the third best city in the United States of America, which is unbelievable. But I started those weekly meetings as a way of just transferring some of that knowledge from John Suthers to me. So it made for a quite seamless transition. In fact, one of my own team members, who was very instrumental as my admin in the campaign, actually started at the city. She got hired by the city 2 weeks before I started, as a way to help with that transition between campaign life and governance. And so the transition was fairly smooth. I should also mention that I spent 3 years in city government myself.
That's
I
right.
was the small business development administrator. So when I was on your show, I was the guy that was representing the city to the small business, representing the city government to the small business community. And so I left a year and a half before I came back as mayor. And so it's good to be back. A lot of the colleagues, similar faces, people. The work is similar, but the job of mayor is still quite new. And so, but because of my time previously in city government and my experience in government and with my colleagues, it actually made for a seamless transition. But we hit the ground running. 100 days. Your first 100 days are really important. All eyes are watching. And I think the community is looking and going, I hope we made the right call. We took a chance on a small business guy that used to be a pastor, a guy with a different kind of story, an immigrant turned U.S. citizen. This is a different kind of leader, but we think he can do the job. And you got to imagine, it's just like you open up a new business, after you go through the soft opening, grand opening, that's the time everyone's checking out your business. And in my case, they're going, is this going to work out? And I'm proud to say for my team and I, we hit the ground running. We got to work almost instantaneously. And we pursued 42 items in terms of action items of things that we wanted to accomplish in the first 100 days. People said, oh gosh, that is big. That's hairy. That's audacious. That's a lot. That's what we do as business people. We pursue the impossible and we got most of it done. And then by that September date of my first State of the City address, which serendipitously, the alignment, we didn't choose the date. We work with the Chamber and Economic Development Corporation. That date has been set the year before. But the end of my first 100 days was the day of the State of the City address.
Oh, wow.
So I couldn't have planned it any better. And I got up on stage and I felt that was a moment. Truly, I became mayor. Yeah, there was something about that moment and being able to hand my predecessor the Lifetime Achievement Award for all his accomplishments over 34 plus years. And then after handing him that award and to get up on stage and address the city, I felt like that was a coronation of my mayoralship. That day is when I really became mayor. Not the swearing in, funny enough. Yeah.
We're going to take a quick break and thank our sponsors.
Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care. Skip the healthcare hassle with Pinnacle Advanced Primary Care. Direct primary care for a simple monthly fee, putting health first. No insurance needed. Experience personalized care that's as unique as every individual. Visit pinnacleapc.com to learn more. That's pinnacleapc.com. Franchise succeed.
Grow any business with Franchise Succeed. From development to expansion, turning small businesses into national brands through franchising. Start scaling up with a free consultation at franchisesucceed.com today. That's franchisesucceed.com.
Planet Duct. Breathe easier with Planet Duct, Colorado Springs' premier air duct cleaning service. Powerful vacuum trucks rid homes of allergens and dust. Clear the air by visiting planetduct.com. That's planetduct.com.
Epic Eyewear. Elevate style with Epic Eyewear. Innovative designs meet unmatched quality, ensuring a great look and better vision. Discover your next pair of shades at epiceyewear.com. That's epiceyewear.com, spelled EPOCH eyewear.com.
And we're running a special discount right now, Andrew. It's COS BP15 for 15% off your
15% off your freaking order at epiceyewear.com. We're wearing the sunglasses right now. If you're watching, listening on the audio, definitely check out the video so you can see and check out how epic they are. EPOCH
eyewear.com.
Eyewear.com.
Now we will get back to this episode. I love it, man. And you got, I have a whole slew of questions, but you spurred a bunch more when you answered that way, by the way. But like, first question that comes to me now that you just said this is, we know you're a mayor of Colorado Springs.
Right.
We've had personal conversations, coffee together. I know you've had personal conversations with Andrew, of course, too. But
Right.
for those who don't really know you in your first year of business, who is Yemi?
Oh yeah, gosh, Yemi loves this community. People ask me, why do you run for mayor? And I say, love makes you do stupid things. I love this community. The Greek word topophilia means a strong love or sense of belonging to one's place. And I raise my hands and I want to be the change that I want to see in the world. It's not enough to complain about the state of affairs. We jump in and we do something about it. That's really the entrepreneurial story and journey. What problem are you trying to solve? And for me, it was the problem of good leadership.
Hmm.
More about Yemi as I try to as best to be as possible to be apolitical. I let you in on a little secret. I hate politics.
Yeah.
And I know I'm a politician, and that even just that word makes me cringe.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think um, sometimes it takes people that hate politics to step into the arena and do it the job from a non-political perspective. I'm also the product of the American dream. I moved to the country 28 years ago as an international student, being able to find work, opportunity, family, start a business, nonprofit, lead, and to be able to get to this point where I can give back to the land that helped make me. And so sometimes believe it takes somebody from the outside perspective, in this case, an immigrant to an American citizen, to be able to remind us, someone from the outside perspective, to be able to remind us what's best of us as Americans and to hold on to the spirit of democracy that we're losing as we move to tribalism, the world I came from. It's like, no, democracy is all about the competition of ideas and coming to the table, even when it's hard, and to do it with great civility and working hard to come to a solution. One last thing about Yemi is that in addition to being inspired by my hero Abraham Lincoln, who I share so much of my leadership style and design, and I find who I am as a leader from his style, and we share the same birthday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, which makes it even so much cooler.
Mm-hmm.
One final note is that I'm married to an incredible woman. Her name is Abby. She is an ICU nurse and a nursing educator, and now the first lady. And as of late, people are telling me, "Wow, she is an amazing speaker." In fact, I received a text the other day from the head of the chamber in EDC. She said, there's competition in your household now. You have two people who are competing in the public speaking arena." And I said, "There is no competition. She wins every time."
Oh yeah.
She goes, "Smart man, smart husband." But yeah, and then we're both parents to 3 young kids, a 10-year-old, a 7-year-old, and an almost 5-year-old.
Oh,
And the
man.
struggle is real.
Yeah.
But we are having fun, and the kids are, and Abby, my wife, they're all adjusting well to this new life and new reality in front of us.
Yes, sir. And that's great. And like you've talked about so many things, your past being, an immigrant to business owner
Right.
to now Mayor of Colorado Springs. And there's some leadership qualities that come from all those different experiences in life.
Mhm.
Tell me a little bit more about Yemi as a leader and especially a leader of a whole city. I can only imagine when you're talking about delegating out tasks and dealing with conflict and dealing even with conflict internally within people who might be at odds or whatever it is. I mean, that's what democracy is, right? It's
It's
solving conflict
absolutely.
together, right?
Are you reading my emails?
No, yeah.
How do you know about all these things happening? Yemi, the leader, is driven by values. I have a strong attachment to values, and for me, values are everything. I lead from a place of 3 core values. It's how I ran my campaign. People often say, "Well, how you ran a campaign that was clean, full of hope and optimism, and different. No one ever thought an independent could win." It's because we ran the campaign full of just strong values, and I'm leading our city based off of these same values. And I'm reaching out to my pocket to see if I can find my challenge coin. Are you guys familiar with the tradition of challenge coin?
No.
Okay. This is show and tell
Okay.
for all the viewers. So Colorado Springs is a proud military community.
Mhm. It is, yeah.
We have about 17% of our population are veterans.
Mhm.
And for comparison, the average U.S. city is about 7%. We have,
Wow.
I think, about 80 to 90,000 veterans, about 40,000 uniformed military team members.
Mhm.
So we
You
have
feel
this.
it, yeah.
We have this tradition that stems out of the military called challenge coin. Its origin starts from a place of kind of challenging each other, but ultimately, this coin is about recognition. This coin is about seeing other people, and often a high-ranking officer will hand this to somebody else. They'll slip it into their hands when you want to honor somebody or show gratitude. And I actually have one in my office that I received from the President of the United States
No way.
last
Awesome.
June. When he slipped it in my hands, I knew exactly
Oh,
what
that's
he was
cool.
slipping in. And then I was trying not to make it so like obvious. So I just kind of put it in my
Yeah, yeah.
pocket. And when I got back to my seat, I was like, okay,
Yeah.
so this is my challenge coin. From time to time, I dish
Can you
this
hold it
out.
up to that camera right there? Awesome. Thank you.
So on this side says Olympic City, USA, which
Yeah,
is our
baby.
strong identity. It's an Olympic year, so make sure you support Team USA. And then 42nd Mayor. And then on the back, and this is really the real reason why I brought this up, you can see what my core values are: courage, empathy, and humility. And our values are our guiding light. Our values are our compass to give us a sense of direction. Our values are most important, especially when things are hard. So I often say courage over comfort, empathy over apathy, and humility over ego. So this is who I am as a leader. And this helps inform the way I make decisions and also policy decisions from a very non-political bias. What best decision for our city, even if the decision is hard. And so courage. Number two is, and how do I approach my decision making and my leadership from a place of empathy, stepping in other people's shoes. So when you hear me say humanizing government, humanizing our officers, humanizing our small business community, it's seeing the human beyond just the decision or just the business arrangement.
Totally.
And then humility is just really grounds me in all of it. So one of the practices I have in my life is to surround myself with people and advisors who get to speak into my life. And sometimes those advisors confuse people because it's not what you always think. Sometimes it's a team of rivals where, to give an example, the two other candidates that I ran against, so Sally Clark and Wayne Williams, who both have strong political experience, I found a way to bring them on my team. So Sally works in my as a senior advisor for me and represents me in the city, and Wayne Williams actually is on my my mayor's advisory council. So this concept of a team of rivals finding worth and value in other people and their experiences to make this whole experience richer. Colorado Springs benefits from that type of leadership. So when you say, who is Yemi as a leader, I am driven by values. And if you want to see the more fighter side of me, or the side of me that just goes after it, it's when a value has been disrupted. It brings the side of me that leads from the front and says, here's what we're doing and here's where we're going. No questions asked about it, but it comes from a place of strong values.
Yeah, that's really an amazing way to answer that. And I was thinking about that with values. Why do you think it drives so much out of you that when someone disrupts other, it doesn't even sound like your own values, but just anybody's values? Why is that almost like a pet peeve or something that like drives
Pet peeve is a good word. It's my foundation. When all else fails, decisions come and go, policies come and go. At the end of the day, who are you? And what's driving you? What gets you up in the morning, help you kick butt during the day? I almost said a different word. But and also help you go to sleep at night. It's my why. I have a clear sense of my why I exist and what I'm doing. And also my values. Those should never change. I feel like ideas can change, solutions can change. It should change over time. After all, none of us are using Windows 95 anymore. I feel like those things have to evolve as if technology changes. But the foundation of who you are should never change. And for me, those values come from a strong place of my own faith. And being a pastor in this community is also part of my story and part of my journey. Actually, before I went into the business world, I started in Colorado Springs as a pastor. So these values are the foundation of my leadership.
I agree with that. And one thing I have to definitely give you flowers on is that before you even became mayor, and I know so many people who know you as you've been mayor, you always will take the time, as busy as a man as you are. Like, we know how busy you are, even getting you here with us today. You always take the time to grab a coffee with somebody one-on-one. And this was before you're a mayor. This wasn't something that, I became mayor, I'm starting to do it. Like, we grabbed coffee individually right before you became mayor. I just love that individual attention that you did that, because it gives it the personal touch of like, I got to know you, who you were as a person before any of this other stuff. Because you know how it is. You have a magnifying glass on you.
Right.
I mean, everybody, the narrative is all about whatever it might be, right?
Right.
Who is Yemi when all these different voices come in and say who Yemi is. I know who Yemi is because I got to have coffee with you. And so that's so special. I know I'm not the special person that you've done that with.
That means a lot. That means a lot. Thank you so much. And I do think friends like you, leaders like you in this community saw that. So when some of the more negative, heavy campaigning things were going on, and people were able to see through all that and go, no, that's not right. Because I believe how you do anything is how you do everything. At least it's supposed to be that way. One of the biggest compliments I would receive after I became mayor, about 6 months into it, people would stop me on the street and say, you're doing everything you said you're going to do. And I used to be so confused with that compliment. Why is that a compliment? But I realized in the realm of politics, you say one thing and then you do something else, or you're someone different. And thank you for that compliment. I do feel like I am the same person. The only difference now is I have a bigger opportunity to make a difference. I get to leverage my bully pulpit to support small businesses. I get to leverage my bully pulpit to lean into mental health solutions. I get to leverage my bully pulpit to move the needle, to go to a third grade classroom and an elementary school and preschool and inspire the next generation of people and bring others in who have historically been left out of the decision-making process. So I want to be faithful to this opportunity that I have to really be the change that I want to see in the world. So I appreciate your compliment.
We'd like to take a quick moment and thank our sponsors.
Redefine Mortgages.
Redefine the home buying experience with Redefine Mortgages. Custom solutions, transparent advice, and even seamless process. Start the journey to home ownership at redefinemortgages.com. That's redefinemortgages.com.
Neon Pig Creative. Bring brands to life with Neon Pig Creative. Dazzling designs and strategic marketing make businesses stand out. Spark creativity at neonpigcreative.com. That's neonpigcreative.com.
Exponential Impact. Fuel startup success with Exponential Impact. Mentorship, resources, and support available to amplify impact. Join a community of change makers at exponentialimpact.com.
That's exponentialimpact.com.
Fast Signs.
Fast Signs can help you with all your signage and visual marketing needs. Whether you're starting a new business or just need a signage refresh, let Fast Signs help you. Make your statement. That's fastsigns.com. Cars Helping Charities.
Cars Helping Charities is a turnkey fundraising solution for nonprofits. Cars Helping Charities allows your nonprofit to accept vehicle donations, which are sold, and then the funds go to the organization. CHC is partnering with my nonprofit of choice, Mattersville, to help them raise funds through vehicle donations. Please consider donating your car to support Mattersville. CHC will pick up any car, an old clunker you have sitting in your driveway, or a car you just don't feel like selling anymore. Make sure to visit carshelpingcharities.org. That's carshelpingcharities.org.
Now let's get back to the show.
Like, this city means something different to everybody. Because you just talked about Andrew moved here, coming on 5 years. And going on 6 years. And like talk about different perspectives, but like for a lot of...
You were born and raised here, right?
No, I'm
okay.
Well, so my story is that my grandparents moved here in 84 before I was even born. And they're all from San Antonio, both sides of my family. And they all slowly migrated to Colorado Springs because my grandpa was a leader. Everybody slowly started to move from Texas to Colorado Springs starting in 84. And this is home. This is where my grandpa was laid to rest. My grandma as well. And my whole family is here. And this town means so much to me in so many different ways. But like, from what I love about this town is, like you said, the military presence, the Christian presence. I'm a man of faith as well.
Oh, awesome.
But there's so many different things of this city. Like, beyond all that, it's so beautiful. All the attractions. You got Garden of the Gods. You got Pikes Peak, the second most visited mountain in the world. You got Garden of the Gods.
You know that?
Yeah, it's
yes.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh yeah.
I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
I was sharing that recently with a few leaders, and they looked at me like, "What? How did we not know that?" We do have the America's Mountain, the second most visited mountain in the world. Keep going.
It's just,
I love hearing you talk about Colorado Springs. I want to move there.
It's just an amazing town, and there's just so much great things about our town. And like, originally, like, these are the things I loved. And so whenever I brought people here, I'm like, oh, I got to show you these things. I got to show you Seven Falls. I got to show you the Broadmoor. I got to show you the Olympic Training Center and all these different things.
Palmer Park's mine. I just love
Palmer Park.
Oh, that's
there's so much
one of my favorite parks.
Yeah.
There's so much to be desired about this city. But one qualm that has been traditionally a stigma around this city is that it was traditionally like a pocketed city of like Northgate was Northgate. And back, I grew up, like, I was in Northgate in 03 when there was nothing but farms up there, right? Nothing like it is now. It was just New Life and farms. And then you get the east side with Powers. You got the south side Fountain, west side, the OGs are in the west side or whatever.
The OGs. That's so true.
But like, it's changing a lot. And I think a lot of it has to do with your influence and so many of the folks who just like they're the pioneers to centralize downtown Colorado Springs. So there's a lot going on down there. Talk a little bit more about everything going on downtown Colorado Springs because that's where we met was downtown.
Right, we
where our
met
studio was.
downtown.
Yes,
and the energy and the magic of what's going on downtown now is we can feel it throughout the entire city. I mentioned that Colorado Springs, for the 7th year in a row, we've been in the top 10 best cities to live in the United States by U.S. News and World Report.
Multiple publications, I think.
That's a very top publication. That's a top publication, and the best kept secret is no longer a best kept secret, and being number 3 is a big deal. And if you look at those factors in the report, the different factors that lead to that ranking, what you were talking about is our desirability. We are the number 1 most desirable city in the United States of America.
There's a large part of the Colorado Springs population that doesn't like that, though.
I know.
They're like, keep it Smolorado Springs or whatever.
Smolorado Springs. I love that. And that's the thing
true.
that we don't have to lose that.
Yeah.
I feel like you can have both. 2 things can be true at the same time. And that's what informs my politics, this Latin word that I learned in seminary called tertium quid. It's a sense of belonging to 2 ideas, but understanding the solution is a 3rd idea that has not been explored. And I often live in the tension of those values because I don't want Colorado Springs to lose its charm and character and uniqueness and what makes a city Smolorado Springs. We're the biggest city in the United States, but we still feel like a small town. We can fight for those things. But growth is inevitable. I have often said healthy things grow. I mean, parents of young kids know that your kids are going to grow regardless. Growth doesn't have to be a bad thing. It's how we grow. So as a parent, I want to ensure that I'm training and shaping my kids so that they grow up to be incredible human beings. Cities do not stay stagnant. If you look at the history of cities, from the formation of the world, you're either growing or you're declining.
Yeah.
And so you're grow one way or the other. But the question is how to grow. And I do believe we can continually work to ensure that we're meeting the needs of today and the enduring challenges of tomorrow to ensure that we can still retain the things that make Colorado Springs the best city. But understand that when you talk about the downtown revitalization and some of those efforts that has been done, it's because of the work of so many leaders. You guys are part of that. And it wasn't as though all of us were going, how can we work to make sure Colorado Springs is in the top 10 best cities to live? No, we were doing the work. And then somebody tapped us and took notice. And they've been taking notice and they're continuously taking notice. And so I'm proud of the work we're doing. We have a long way to go. I mean, if you look all over the city, there's a lot of growth and expansion, the amphitheater coming up and One Republic and having those guys come back to the hometown is actually super cool.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to really, I have a secret goal to try to get them more engaged in Colorado Springs.
Nice.
Because this is their home. This is the city that helped make them. And so we'll continue to grow. We'll continue to do that work, but we'll do it in a way that is smart, intelligent, and responsible. Because when people push back on growth, I actually agree with them. What they're saying, what they may not be saying, but what they're saying is our resources are limited. Do we have those resources to keep up with the growth of our city? Yes. That I'm with you on that. So
they don't want to be like Denver.
Exactly.
I mean, that's one complaint about Denver is that it's growing faster than it can handle.
And all that is, and I don't want to pick on Mayor Johnston, who's a dear friend in our sister city, but you kind of you hear that with other cities. What you fill in the blanks, Portland. But what people are trying to say is, we've seen those cities grow, and we've seen some growing pains, like homelessness and those vagrancy and those things that are happening. But this is what I love about Colorado Springs being a late bloomer. I was a late bloomer growing up. And the benefit of being a late bloomer is you get to learn from the mistakes of your siblings. So I don't feel like we get to make those mistakes. I feel like as long as we stay the course, as long as we're not political in our decisions, and I'm talking, and sometimes my criticism is on both sides of the political spectrum, but as long as we're pragmatic and as long as we put the common good in Colorado Springs first, ahead of party lines and party politics, we're going to be okay. Where some of the cities that we worry about is because some of those decisions were political as opposed to pragmatic. And this community has my commitment to making good decisions.
Love it. What about the city? I mean, you talked about it this whole time. I have two parts of this question. Is like, one, what makes you love this city and give so much of yourself to it as a person who gives up years of their lives to govern the city is a big commitment. So one, well, what makes you love Colorado Springs? And two,
Right.
what are things that we can do as a city that we can work on and maybe get a lot of folks behind? Because as any city, we're
Yeah.
growing, we have problems. Let's talk about that too.
Oh, and now we're getting to the meat of the.
Yeah.
I'll make the first answer short. We've already touched on it. What makes me love this city? I think about the founder of our city, General William Jackson Palmer, who visited and looked at the what would become America's mountain, the Purple Mountain majesty and the beauty of this place, and went, we got to create an infrastructure so that we enjoy this 24/7. Most of us move here and we're just in awe of what we see, and then we go, I want to live there.
Yep.
And that's what General William Jackson Palmer did. I want to live there. And while we're living here, we're not just consuming, we're giving back. We are part of creating the city. And that leads to the second question you have. What are some of the enduring challenges? So we are ranked number 3, but we're not number 1. So we're
True that. Yeah.
well, we're not going to stop until we're the best of the best of the best. So what are some of our enduring challenges? Number 1, I'll tell you some of the things that keep me up at night. Affordability. Housing is we've been here long enough to watch just in the most recent history to see the prices of homes skyrocket. You know, we have supply is high, demand supply is low, demand is high.
Right.
And so we're working on that. I mean, we're still short about another 16,000, at least 16,000 units. The most recent report last week from the Common Sense Institute is it's alarming. Number 2, we talk about public safety. That is my number 1 responsibility to our residents. If folks don't feel safe, you don't have a great city. I say a safe city is a great city. A great city is a safe city. If they don't feel safe, people start to leave. We lose economic development opportunity. And one of the ways we're trying to address that is 2 things among many things, 2 things I want to share with you is one is ensuring that we can get to authorized strength, the number of officers we need to keep our community safe, which is 819. And we've been short. We've struggled with retention and recruitment. I'm happy to say no more. So by the end of this year, early next year, we'll get to authorized strength for the first time since 2019. So what that means is that when you call 911, you get a quicker response. So in your time of need, you deserve one of our team members there for you. And then that leads to the second aspect of public safety is perhaps if you're paying attention to the media, you're hearing about the emergency medical services and my desire to bring that back in-house to government, because it's a government function that I'm responsible for, that we've outsourced to a private entity as the public safety needs and demands change and the landscape has evolved. Gone are the days where you call 911 only when your bone was sticking out. Now we call 911 for acute services, for behavioral health, for sometimes where you feel, if you're out and about and you see a homeless person, you're not safe, people call 911 for everything. So which means now we need to be smart, innovative in terms of how we deploy our 911 resources. We don't have to send an engine or truck or officer to every call. Sometimes we just need to send an SUV. Sometimes we need to send an ambulance. Sometimes we need to send an engine. Sometimes we need to send a team of a behavioral health specialist and a first responder. So the ability to bring emergency medical services back in-house gives us the ability to control the whole process and be able to quickly deploy resources as our residents need. And so those are 2 of our enduring challenges. And then if I can just mention a third one, which I want to put in a plug for this November, for all the listeners and viewers to vote yes to renew our road improvement program. We nickname it as 2C because that was the ballot initiative in 2015. renewed it in 2019, and we're going to renew it again this year. And it's our investment in our own road. We've repaved about 1,700 lane miles. We still have about over 5,000 to go.
See
And
me
so-
filling in the potholes online. I've been following you, man.
No, we are filling. And as the weather changes, you go from winter to spring, and the freeze thaw cycles. Then we have these cracks.
Mhm.
Now it's important for me to mention that fixing potholes are simply a Band-Aid solution.
Yeah.
So 2C, our road improvement program, is truly the solution that we need. We've made a lot of progress, reduced the amount of complaints that residents will call to the city by 50%. Huge difference. And so
Mhm.
I want to get that back on the ballot.
I think
to-
people should check out the episode with Alex Pellegrino. Actually, my drink, but he owns Basis Partners, and he is. I don't know if you're familiar with that company, but they are largely responsible for a lot of the road construction that we see.
Oh,
And bridges, right? Specifically the bridges,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
You've had him on this show?
Mm-hmm. Like
Yeah.
last year. Mm-hmm.
Ask him to next time he comes to tell his networks to vote yes on 2C.
Oh, I'm sure he'd
Yeah.
love it because he also makes money off of that too. So.
Yes, exactly. And that's another part of the story. I know you guys are about telling stories about local businesses. Guess what? Most of our contractors that do this work in our city are local businesses.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a win-win in so many levels. And for this third iteration of road improvement, we're going to be prioritizing neighborhoods as well. So
Okay, yeah.
so we're going to be taking this work into our neighborhoods.
Love
Yeah,
it.
I know the streets in my neighborhood are specifically the HOA kind of figures out like
How to fix those.
stuff, and like that's kind of it's reliant on just that. We don't have anything else besides just the HOA in that little neighborhood
Right.
to fix little potholes.
Well, at the end of the day, like you've mentioned, our city is growing, and our ability to invest in our own growth and ensuring that we're caring for our own resources, so that we're not in a worse situation. We don't lose our desirability. The reason why we're so behind on our road improvement programs, and also why you see a lot more potholes, because we've had 30 plus years of deferred maintenance on our own roads. And that's just not okay. And so I'm proud of our residents for voting yes on 2C and doing it again. And I'm counting on them to do it again so that we can catch up. We often say, to give you a visual vastness of this work, are you ready? So we've paved equivalent from Colorado Springs to Athens, Georgia. But to repave the entire city, we have to go from Colorado Springs to Athens, Greece.
Oh my god.
Oh wow, yeah, yeah, it's a lot.
So
yeah.
we've repaved about 25% of our city
Mhm.
roads.
That's
And so
nuts.
but we'll keep going. The good news is that we're catching up, and it's making a difference.
Mhm.
Another statistic is we've reduced the number of claims against the city. So where somebody hits a pothole or something and the vehicle gets damaged, and they report the claim to the city, we've reduced that by 80%.
Oh my gosh.
That's
a
how
huge stat.
that is a huge stat. That's
Yeah.
how much this program has made a difference. And if we don't have good infrastructure, we got nothing.
Mhm.
I mean, you guys are a business and economic development podcast. If you can't drive safely and smoothly from your home to your work, or your workforce can't do that, we got a problem.
Big time.
And so I'm really proud of the work we're doing because of the impact it's going to have on our business community.
Love it, man.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna start closing up here soon because I know you're a very busy man, but we do have some questions from the community that.
Oh, let's
that
go,
source,
community.
Yeah. One very big one that I love that someone submitted. It says, how do we attract young people to Colorado Springs job wise? So what are we doing as a city to attract, I guess, the good employers, or maybe just employers to hire them for jobs that are suitable enough salary wise to sustain the growth of our city, which is very
Love this one. I'm going to make this one quick as much as possible I can. Okay. To just a couple of data points. Last year, Zillow named us the #1 city for college grads to move. So we're actually doing really good in terms of attracting young people. Second data point is last year we had 9 record economic development announcements, and many of them were small businesses that were expanding. Without going through each numbers, what the amount of private investment and 3,000 jobs and potentially in indirect jobs of another 4,000 jobs. We're retaining about 1,500 jobs. So the numbers speak for themselves. That is not the issue. So we'll continue to work on Attracted, and we work with our chamber and EDC partners who have an incredible internship. So you'll be seeing young people from across the country here this summer in different industries. Here's what I'm most concerned about. I'm not concerned about being a desirable city that young people want to move into. I'm not concerned about the work of my economic development team under Jesse Kimber's leadership and our many partners in the city. I am concerned about our workforce and how do we ensure that we're preparing our young people for the jobs of tomorrow. So we have young people with jobs with degrees that they can't really do anything in those. And my hope is that we can begin to reskill. How can they go back to school for a 12-month, a 2-year cybersecurity certification and graduate and instantly make $85,000? That's where we need to do some work as a community. We're making progress with attracting young people and also the number of job opportunities. But we have to make sure we are training those young people for the jobs of tomorrow.
Love it. You're tracing it back to the source. In
Right.
other words, with the problem there. I love that answer.
And that's one of the reasons the city, for the first time, we hired a workforce development administrator, because workforce development is economic development. Economic development is workforce development. Many of our employers, businesses are telling me the number one challenge is workers.
Yeah.
And so I am prepared to do something about it.
Especially skilled labor. A lot of
That's a whole podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a whole podcast.
Love it. Next question is homeless and public safety. We talked a little bit about that already.
Yes.
A little bit earlier. I do know some of that is infrastructure wise, because like where our old studio was, there was the bus station that
I
was
know.
attached to it. So it's like, can't really fix that issue because
Right.
it's the bus station. Usually a little bit more homeless people hang around the bus station. We had Frank Sinclair in last
Frank.
3 weeks ago now.
Mhm.
Gosh, time flies by. But he was talking about so many great perspectives. But like, I feel like there's a lot of negative connotation towards homelessness.
Right.
And like homeless people being like drug addicts, and
Right.
just, that's not the case for a
For a lot
majority
of
of
them,
them. Yeah. And I just think that, there's a lot to be addressed there. So to our community, what do you say to address, I guess, the concerns specifically probably downtown for homelessness?
Right. And we use, that's a great one. And to our community, I want to tell them, I see you and I hear you. And it's how we balance compassion with enforcement. And I'm committed to an evidence based approach and solutions and discovery and solution. Because again, when you talk about homeless as it can get very political, but what actually works? And so the city we are finalizing our strategic plan that will help inform how we handle our homeless response. It's a multifaceted problem and requires a multifaceted solution. It's all hands on deck because the causes of homelessness are many and myriad. I mean, from people who are one bad break away from homelessness, they couldn't pay the rent or they had a medical bill, all the way to folks who are having mental health challenges and substance abuse. And so the city's partnerships with many of the partners is an important solution. How we deal with some of the behavioral health needs is an important solution. And that takes me back to the emergency medical services. One of our team of public servants from that department are homeless outreach program folks. And these are they do street outreach and they work with some of our most vulnerable population. These are people that not even our partners can handle. And so the city has to step up and ensure that our community is safe. So the ability to bring the EMS into the city opens up opportunity for us to respond. And then we also have to enforce the laws that we do have around camping ban. And sometimes people push back and they say, why are you enforcing camping ban? Because it's unsafe for our homeless residents and the wider population. I mean, we've had challenges with homicides, like homeless violence and killing that happens in encampments. We have challenges with fire dangers. I believe it was last year between January and February, we put out 300 fires. When we talk about our fire dangers, yes, the wildland fires are a big part of it, but some of that is actually in the urban areas. And so how do we deploy our street outreach folks to be able to move our homeless residents from homelessness back to housing, health, and work. So we'll continue to work at it and know that this is at the top of my mind and then one of my top priorities as your mayor.
Awesome, man. Well, is there any last questions from you, Mr. Andrew,
No,
before
I
we
think
start?
this is a good wrap up. Yeah.
Yeah, this has been just, thank you so much, Yemi.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, this has been, I mean, it's just been so cool to see you in this new chapter of your life, friend. It's been awesome.
Thank
That's
you.
your camera right there. Where can we find you, and anything else you want to share?
Oh, yes. ColoradoSprings.gov is pretty much it. That's a starting place if you want to learn more about our homeless response, anything related to public safety, our strategic doing items. So these are the 20 action items that I'm working on your behalf in 2024, as well as our future strategic plan coming up. And last but not the least, we just kicked off 1,000 neighborhood gathering. And this is our efforts to combat mental health. So you don't need me for this. I just want to encourage you as residents to take ownership of our community's mental well-being and host a block party, host a neighborhood gathering, and let's connect neighbors back together. Because the studies show that knowing as few as 6 of your neighbors drastically reduces anxiety and improves your mental well-being. That was done by the Nextdoor app.
Okay.
And we're moving folks from isolation back into community, and we're going to watch the magic that happens when we begin to care for each other and we increase social connectedness.
You know, it's funny. The poster for it's right there.
Oh, right behind the camera. That's right.
Yes. Who put that up there?
I don't know. It's just there.
No, that's what we're doing. We
You're
kicked
far-reaching, my friend. You're very
Yeah.
far-reaching.
I know. We kicked it off 2 weekends ago, and it was a beautiful sight. It was unbelievable. So ColoradoSprings.gov, sign up, ColoradoSprings.gov. That's your starting place for just about anything dealing with my office.
Awesome. Jinx, personal jinx, show me cook. No,
Love it, man. Well, thank you again for coming on.
Thank
We
you.
just truly appreciate it. 1 year in the books. Thank you so much for what you do for our community and your team. And there's just so many incredible people around you in your orbit. It's just so cool to see you again in this next chapter. So we'll see you guys on the next one.